Fortunately for you, our commercial activity and our employer withholding tax updates session is next. And so, Mary, are you available? Mary will be covering our commercial activity tax. Hi, Mary, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks. So I will turn it over to you. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you, Teresa. So first off, I just want to say good morning and a big thank you to everyone who decided to attend today to learn about the updates about commercial activity tax. Like Teresa had stated, my name is Mary, and I am a tax examiner manager in the business tax division. Today, we are going to go over some of the updates to the commercial activity tax. My hope is that by the end of this presentation, you have a clear understanding of the changes that came to CAT and how they may or may not affect you. Before we begin, there are a few items I would like to review with you now based on recent phone calls and correspondence that the department has received. Commercial activity taxpayers who anticipate to have less than $3 million in taxable gross receipts in 2024 should cancel their CAT account effective 12/31/2023. This can be done by calling into the department, submitting a business account update form, which is a paper form located on tax.ohio.gov, using the CAT cancel transaction on the gateway, or by checking the cancel box when you file your final 2023 annual return or the final fourth quarter 23 return. We are also experiencing a lot of taxpayers canceling their account in error, so please be careful reading over that CAT cancellation checkbox before you click it when you file that return. Another common scenario we're receiving is not being able to use the CAT cancel transaction on the gateway. If your CAT account has already been canceled by any of the previously mentioned options, you will not be able to use the CAT cancel transaction. You can view if your account was previously closed with the return by reviewing the return summary, which is located in the History tab on the gateway. We want to provide this disclosure slide just to inform everyone that today's session is going to include a high overview of general information, and any information should not be considered legal or tax advice. Any changes made by legislature may change the accuracy of this content. Also, please keep in mind that depending on your situation, any small difference can change the outcome and have a different impact on how the changes may impact you, especially if you are a group, which we will discuss that here later in the presentation. As always, the department has a fantastic group of examiners ready and willing to assist you during our business hours at the number you see here on the screen. The House Bill 33, otherwise known as the Budget Bill, was passed and included quite a few changes that affected the CAT. With that said, our taxpayer base for CAT will be decreasing quite significantly. For today's topics, we will be going over what CAT is, how you know if you are subject to the tax, the filing requirements and in the future, and the frequently asked questions that the department has received so far regarding these changes. The first topic we will discuss today is what is the commercial activity tax? For a little background, historically, there was a corporate franchise tax that was phased out and replaced by the CAT, with CAT being enacted in 2005. This is general information, and we do have resources available at the end of the presentation if you would like to read more on these wonders of the commercial activity tax. It is also important to consider common ownership. CAT does require that individuals with common ownership file as one taxpayer. Here we are referring to taxpayer, but it could be a group of entities that are commonly owned by individuals or businesses. So what is the commercial activity tax? CAT is defined by three main criteria. The first point is that CAT is an annual tax imposed on the privilege of doing business in Ohio, measured by the taxable gross receipts from most businesses' activities. We do have an information release 2005-17 located on our website at tax.ohio.gov that will help clarify what constitutes a taxable gross receipt for the purposes of CAT. Next, the CAT applies to gross receipts that are situs to or source to Ohio. You should only report receipts that are situs to or source to Ohio only when you file the CAT returns. And then a little difference on what is considered gross receipts and taxable gross receipts. The gross receipts reflect the total amount that's realized without the deduction for cost of goods sold or other expenses incurred in a transaction or transactions that contribute to the production of gross income. Taxable gross receipts means gross receipts that are situs to Ohio only. And then finally, taxpayers with taxable gross receipts of more than $3 million in the 2024 calendar year are subject to the CAT. Please note that periods prior to 2024, taxpayers with taxable gross receipts of more than $150,000 in the calendar year were subject to the CAT. And then beginning January 1st, 2025, taxpayers with taxable gross receipts of more than $6 million in the calendar year are subject to the CAT. So again, these are the three main criteria associated with the CAT tax: doing business in Ohio, what it applies to, and the taxable gross receipt. Now that we know what CAT is, let's just take a few moments and talk about the filing requirements. We will also go over the annual minimum tax and what has changed. Beginning January 1st, 2024, annual filing will no longer be available. All taxpayers that remain subject to the CAT will be required to file quarterly. The quarterly deadlines will remain the same: May 10th, August 10th, November 10th, and February 10th. Keep in mind that these dates can fluctuate depending if it falls on a weekend or holiday. If you cancel your account now, you will still have a filing requirement for 2023. Something to keep in mind that tends to be misunderstood is that even if you do not have any taxable gross receipts for a particular filing period, it does not remove your filing requirement for CAT. This is why we are emphasizing to cancel your account as soon as you become aware you will no longer be subject to the CAT. And then this slide here is just to visualize some of the changes. On the left is how the annual minimum tax was previously structured. Taxpayers utilize their previous calendar year's taxable gross receipts to determine the current year's annual minimum tax. On the right, you can see the annual minimum tax has been eliminated beginning January 1st, 2024. The CAT tax rate of 0.26% will be charged as tax due on receipts exceeding the $3 million. Then beginning January 1st, 2025, the rate will be charged on receipts exceeding that 6 million threshold. Keep in mind that when filing the returns on the gateway will automatically apply the exclusions starting with the first quarter, and this is how it is applied now. For annual filers, if you file the 2023 return with less than $150,000 and qualify for a refund of the 2023 annual minimum tax, we will process the refund without a refund claim. You can still submit a refund request, but it is not required, as we'll be reviewing the accounts and issuing refunds for any annual minimum tax overpayment. Refunds will be mailed to the last known address on file. To be sure the department has a valid mailing address, you can utilize the transaction on the gateway called CAT, Company Information Change, to submit an updated mailing address. So what happens now? There are updates that have been made to our website at tax.ohio.gov, which we will go over here in a minute. But as previously mentioned, you can cancel your CAT account by using the checkbox on the final return. If you cancel using the checkbox, you do not need to complete the CAT cancel transaction on the gateway since your account has already been canceled. But as you can see here on the screen, as of January 1st, 2024, taxpayers with taxable gross receipts not exceeding the 3 million threshold should cancel their CAT account effective 12/31/2023. The annual return deadline was May 10th of this year, and the fourth quarter 23 return was due February 12th of this year. And then on this slide are the 2025 requirements. Beginning January 1st of 25, taxpayers with taxable gross receipts less than 6 million will need to cancel their account effective 12/31/2024. This can be done when filing the final fourth quarter 2024 return by submitting a business account update form, using the CAT cancel transaction on the gateway, or by calling into the department. The fourth quarter return should be filed on or before February 10th of 2025. So just some quick updates on the Ohio Administrative Code. Historically, taxpayers who had elected to consolidate their commonly owned businesses have not been permitted to close their account in the middle of their 8-quarter renewal. This administrative code 5703/2904 relaxes that requirement, consistent with the law changes that became effective January 1st of 24. The CAT law changes also impacted taxpayers who, as pre-income tax trusts, elected to file the Ohio commercial activity tax. Oftentimes, they have less than $150,000 in taxable gross receipts, which are less than the 3 million threshold. They are now able to cancel their CAT accounts and not required to file zero tax return. This, however, doesn't revoke their election to file the Ohio CAT. More information on pre-income tax trust can be viewed via the Ohio Administrative Code 5703/2921. And both of these codes can be found on codes.ohio.gov. So now let's go over some frequently asked questions. The first question we have is, what should I do now if I will not have more than 3 million in taxable gross receipts in 2024? Taxpayers who anticipate to have less than 3 million in taxable gross receipts in 2024 should cancel their account 12/31/2023. The 2023 annual return, as previously stated, was due May 10th of this year, and the fourth quarter return was due February 12th of this year. The gateway will allow you to backdate a cancellation request to 12/31/2023 if you wait until the final return has been filed to cancel the CAT account. Again, there is a checkbox available with the final returns. Simply check the box and we will cancel your account 12/31/2023. If you use Telefile, you will not be able to cancel your account with your return. You will need to use the CAT cancel transaction through the Ohio Business Gateway, send in a paper business account update form, or call the department and we can assist over the phone. The next question we have is who must file CAT? This simple chart here goes over each year's thresholds. Calendar years 2005 to 2023, taxpayers with taxable gross receipts more than 150,000 were subject. And then beginning January 1st, 2024, you became subject with taxable gross receipts greater than 3 million. And then beginning January 1st, 2025, taxpayers with taxable gross receipts greater than 6 million are subject. Our next question is, do these changes impact periods prior to 2024? Here on this slide is the annual minimum tax information release. It explains the tiered structure and how the annual minimum tax is based on the prior year's taxable gross receipt. The annual minimum tax will still be applied to the periods prior to 2024. This next question here, if I'm no longer subject to the CAT in 2024, do I still have to file a CAT return for 2023? The answer is yes. Taxpayers subject to the CAT must file for 2023. It does not take away from that filing requirement. 2023 annual returns, again, were due on or before May 10th of 2024, and the fourth quarter return for 23 was due on or before February 12th of 24. This next question here is, as an annual filer, will I owe tax for 2023? There will not be an annual minimum tax payment due on this return. If you do exceed the $1 million in taxable gross receipts, the only tax that will be due is the 0.26% on the amount exceeding that $1 million. Our next question is, what happens if I have taxable gross receipts that are slightly below the new exclusion amount and will likely increase in the next few years? So you do have some options. If you anticipate to exceed the 3 million threshold, you should continue filing quarterly returns. You will not have a tax due until those receipts exceed the $3 million. On the other hand, you can cancel your account and reactivate it once you exceed the new exclusion. Taxpayers are required to register and pay the tax within 30 days of exceeding that amount. Our next question here, I have a new business that exceeded 150,000 in taxable gross receipts in May of 23. Will I still need to register for the CAT if I will not exceed 3 million in 24? Taxpayers who have taxable gross receipts of 150,000 in calendar year 2023 are subject to the CAT and will need to register, file, and pay any tax that is due. You will owe the 2023 annual minimum tax which is paid separately from the 2023 annual return. You will not have an annual minimum tax due for 24 when you file that 23 return. Once you file the return, you may cancel your account with an effective date of 12/31/2023. And again, you can do this by checking the box at the end of the return. The next question we have here is, how do I cancel my CAT account? If you file a 2023 annual return or a fourth quarter 23 return on the gateway, you will see a checkbox has been added to the return to allow you to cancel your CAT account when filing. If you use this option, the CAT account will be canceled when you file the return with an effective date of 12/31/2023. You will not need to submit a separate cancellation request if you use that option to cancel the account. If, however, you already filed your fourth quarter 23 or the 2023 annual return and did not check that cancellation box, you may still utilize the CAT cancel transaction on the gateway and do not have to amend a return to check that box. And again, annual filers who use Telefile will not be able to cancel the account when filing the return. You can cancel your account by submitting a business account update form, again located on our website at tax.ohio.gov, using the CAT cancel transaction on the gateway, or by simply calling the department. CAT accounts that are annual filers may be switched to quarterly, effective April 1st, 2024. This would make the due date for their first quarterly return in August, where they would report January to June 2024 activity. This allows taxpayers to file timely and as well as the 2024 receipts timely. There are some annual taxpayers who receive refundable credit certificates from the Ohio Department of Development. And in order for these taxpayers to claim those credits on the returns, they will be required to switch their accounts to quarterly and file those returns, even if their receipts are going to be less than the $3 million. Our next question here is, what if I do not cancel my CAT account? All active taxpayers are required to file all returns, even if they do not meet the threshold. If you do not cancel your CAT account and fail to file the required returns, you may receive delinquency notices and assessment. And just a reminder, beginning January 1st, 2024, the annual filing is eliminated, and all active taxpayers are required to file quarterly. And this question here, I'm a combined or consolidated elected taxpayer. Does each member of the group account need to reach the new exclusion to remain subject to the account or to the CAT? The answer is no. The exclusion amount applies to the total taxable gross receipts for the group. Combined and consolidated elected taxpayers must consider the taxable gross receipts of all of its members in determining whether the group will be subject to the new exclusion amount, $3 million in 24 and $6 million in 25 and thereafter. So in other words, a combined group might have 10 members that all have receipts under $3 million. But once those receipts are combined, they exceed the $3 million. This combined group would remain subject to the CAT as a group, they meet the filing requirements. This does include taxpayers who file separately from the group. Be sure to include these separately filed receipts when determining if your group is still going to be subject to the tax. So here on this screen are active links. On the left side is the link to the new information release that details all of the changes that we went over today. And on the right is a link to our new webpage for CAT on tax.ohio.gov that has all the important changes to CAT, a link to the new information release, and all the frequently asked questions that we reviewed today. This page will be updated as more additional information becomes available. If you have any questions after this presentation, please feel free to reach out to me or to call the department for assistance. My email is mary.burkholder@tax.ohio.gov. And the CAT number to call listed on the screen here is 888-722-8829. And also, if you have not yet signed up for tax alerts, please consider signing up for them. Any of the updates that are made to the CAT will be sent out via these tax alerts. And lastly, please do not forget to follow us on social media. Important reminders and updates are shared on our social media pages. We do have a social media presence on LinkedIn, Facebook, X, which was previously known as Twitter, and YouTube. So this does conclude the commercial activity tax presentation. If your questions have not yet been answered, you will be receiving a response via email within the next few business days. I will now turn it over to Loretta, who will discuss employer withholding tax. I thank you all.
Thank you, Mary. Good morning, everyone. My name is Loretta Hall, and I am a tax examiner specialist in the Employment Tax Division. I'm going to go through some Ohio and school district withholding employer information with you today. First, let's get through our disclosure, our disclaimer. The information contained in this presentation is accurate as of the date of the presentation. Any legislative or legal changes that take place after the date of this presentation may change the accuracy of this content. Additionally, changes to the facts and circumstances may impact any answer provided herein. All right, what's on the agenda for today? Who must withhold Ohio income tax? Understanding Ohio's reciprocity agreements, electronic filing requirement, filing frequencies, employer and school district forms, refunds, filing the W-2 and 1099-R forms, simplified W-2 upload format, corrected W-2s, general tips and reminders, and resources. First, who must withhold Ohio income tax? Every employer maintaining an office or transacting business within the state of Ohio and making payment of any compensation to its employee, whether a resident or non-resident, must withhold Ohio income tax. However, non-resident withholding is only required if the employee performs services in Ohio. Employers should always withhold for a resident of Ohio, regardless of where performance services are performed. There are some exceptions to the withholding. Withholding is not required in the following situations per our Ohio Revised Code. Agricultural labor as defined in Title 26 of the U.S. Code, domestic service in a private home, local college club, fraternity, or sorority. Residents of Indiana, Kentucky, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia earning compensation for services provided in Ohio. A civilian spouse of a military service member, if the service member and spouse have the same state of residency and their state of residency is in another state, of course, pursuant to the service member's military records. Any other exceptions can be found on our website. Employers are also required to withhold school district income tax from compensation for any employee who resides in a taxing school district. This requirement is based on the employee's address of residence. And it applies even if the employer conducts no business in that school district. So it is required, it is not optional, it's not a suggestion. Again, it is required. And it is based on where your employee lives, not the location of your business. School districts and the corresponding 4-digit codes can be verified using our Finder tool on our website, tax@tax.ohio.gov, or by contacting your applicable county auditor. So if there is any discrepancy between what the employee is telling you the school district is and what you find out on our tool, the Finder, the county auditor is the final determination. All of our withholding tables and calculation methods are available on our website, tax.ohio.gov/employer, and all of these are effective as of November 1st, 2023. Okay, now understanding Ohio's reciprocity agreements. Ohio has a reciprocity agreement with its 5 neighboring states: Indiana, Kentucky, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. If you are an Ohio employer and your employee lives in a reciprocity state, you will not withhold Ohio income tax for that employee. The employee must complete and submit the IT-4 and specifically complete Section 3, which identifies them as a resident of one of our reciprocity states. The employer should withhold and remit income tax for the employee's resident state. A couple of notes about the reciprocity agreement. A resident of a border state who has Ohio-sourced income that is not considered employee compensation cannot claim the reciprocity deduction and must pay Ohio income tax on that income. A good example is rental income from a property located in Ohio. If a non-resident employee has Ohio income tax withheld in a prior year by the employer in error, they should file our Ohio IT 1040 to request a refund. An employer should not withhold income tax for the reciprocity state where the employee works. Rather, they should withhold for the state the employee resides in per our reciprocity agreement. Example, an Ohio employer has a business located in Ohio. They have an Indiana resident who crosses the border to work in that Ohio location. The employer will not withhold Ohio income tax for the employee, but they should withhold Indiana income taxes. All right, now our electronic filing requirement. Employers are required to electronically file and pay Ohio employer and school district withholding taxes, either through the Ohio Business Gateway or through the Ohio Treasurer of State, or by any other electronic means prescribed by our tax commissioner. You can see the detailed information about this in our Ohio Administrative Code 5703-7-19. Information on how to submit employer withholding payments through the Treasurer of State can be located on their website at tos.ohio.gov. A note to remember about filing school district payments. You cannot remit those payments through the Ohio Treasurer of State. There is no place to enter these individual school district names or numbers or their individual liabilities. They will have to be done through the Ohio Business Gateway. Okay, so now we know how we must file. How often do you need to file? So let's talk about our filing frequencies. Your initial filing frequency is initiated by the withholding account registration process. So when you fill out your application, you indicate the amount you will be withholding for the tax year. The Ohio employer withholding and filing frequencies are, however, reevaluated each calendar year. The filing frequency is determined by a combined dollar amount for Ohio and school district income taxes that were withheld or required to be withheld during our look back period, which is the 12-month period ending June 30th of the preceding calendar year. The first filing frequency is our quarterly. This is a combined amount of Ohio and school district that is $2,000 or less. The IT 501 and the SD 101 payments are due the last day of the month following the end of each calendar quarter. So we have already ended quarter one, that was March 31st, and the payments were due April the 30th. Monthly, this combined dollar amount for Ohio and school district withholding taxes is greater than 2,000, but less than the 84,000. Again, the IT 501 and SD 101 payments are due within 15 days following the end of each month. We are currently in the month of May, which will end the 31st, and therefore the payments are due within the first 15 days, the last day being June 15th. And our final filing frequency is the partial weekly. Partial weekly have a combined Ohio and school district withholding amount during our look back period of greater 84,000 or more. The payments must be made by electronic funds transfer within 3 banking days from the end of the partial weekly period in which the employer issued its payroll. We want to make a note that if any period reaches 100,000 or more, the payment is due the next banking day. Our partial weekly filers do not remit their school district partial weekly. They are held to a monthly status. And all of our due date schedules for all of the filing frequencies are located at tax.ohio.gov/employer. Okay, so let's talk about the actual forms. The first form is the Ohio IT-4 Employees Withholding Exemption Certificate. This must be completed by each employee, and this is for the Ohio exemption, or the employer must withhold based on a zero exemption. So if your employee does not complete it, does not turn it in, you will enter zero for their exemptions. I apologize. The current IT-4 was revised in December of 2020. It is a combined document. It replaces our original IT-4 Employees Withholding Exemption Certificate, the IT-4NR, which identifies our reciprocity state employees, the IT-4MIL for military employees, and the IT-MILSP for military spouse employees. And a note about our IT-4s, it is not required for the employers to mail those to the department each year. You simply want to keep those in your files for at least 4 years and make them available to the department upon request. In order to find the correct school district, use the complete address from Section 1 of the IT form. Again, any conflicting district information, the employee says one thing, the finder says something else, use the county auditor as the final determination. We do suggest that you canvass your employees annually for this document. It is quite easy for people to forget to update a new address. Now our other forms, the Ohio IT 501, payment of income tax withheld. This is used to report and pay Ohio income tax withheld for the period. However, it is not required if there is no liability for the period. The filing of the IT 501s does not complete your requirement for the year. You must reconcile the year by submitting the IT 941 annual reconciliation of income tax withheld. This is, again, used to reconcile the entire calendar year. It's due by January 31st of the following tax year, or no later than 15 days of closing your business. So you can close at any time. However, you want to reconcile the year with the IT 941, and that should be done within 15 days of the discontinuation of business. Your total withholding must equal your W-2 and 1099-Rs submitted. The IT 942 quarterly reconciliation and the IT 942 fourth quarter annual reconciliation effective for 2024 and every tax year thereafter. This requirement has been removed from our partial weekly filers. It has actually been removed from our ORC. However, as of July 1st, the IT 942 will no longer be available on the gateway as well. So if you need to amend your 2023 or prior years, you will use the IT 941 to do so. Moving on to our school district form, the SD 101, return for school district income tax withheld. This is used to report and pay the income tax for school district withheld for any given period. It, as with the IT 501, if there is no liability for any period, it is not required to submit this form. Filing the SD 101s also does not complete your requirements for the year. You want to reconcile the year with the SD 141 annual reconciliation of school district income tax withheld. Employers are required to file that form also by January 31st of the following tax year and no later than 15 days after discontinuation of a business. The total tax withheld also must equal the W-2 information. And okay, refunds, everyone's favorite. How do we get the overpayment back? Every employer and school district withholding employee who has a withholding or school district withholding refund must request it at the end of the tax year on the annual reconciliation forms, SD 141 and 941, or by submitting an amended annual reconciliation. If you've already completed the form for 2023 or previous years and you discover there is an overpayment, you will simply go out to the gateway and amend that return. However, for current years, if you discover there is an overpayment that you believe needs to be refunded now, you can use our form WTAR withholding tax application for refund. This is used to the end of the year. and it is for erroneous assessment payments or other erroneous payments that may cause financial hardship to the company. The form must be requested by email. It is not on our website. You can look up the form. It will give you information about refunds and requesting the document itself. And you're going to send your explanation of the payment error to our EWT at tax.ohio.gov and request the form, and we will get that back to you after reviewing the information. Now, that is the end of my portion. I am going to turn it over to my colleague, Misty Leach, who has some other important information for you for employer withholding. Thank you for your day.
Thank you, Loretta. My name is Misty Leach, and I'll be starting with filing the W-2 and 1099-R forms. So as Loretta stated, currently all employers and retirement system payers are required to file and pay their returns electronically. This also includes the requirement to submit income statements electronically, which would be your W-2 and 1099-Rs. Currently, more than 99.75% of our employer withholding taxpayers file electronically. Because of the high rate of compliance, effective for tax year 2023, everyone who currently files and pays electronically is also required to electronically submit their W-2 and 1099-R information. We do have two accepted file types so that you can electronically submit this information. The first being the comma separated value or .csv file. This is for W-2 information only and is achieved using the simplified W-2 method spreadsheet. The Ohio Department of Taxation created this spreadsheet to assist the smaller businesses with compliance of this new requirement. And it is a manual entry of the W-2 information into a template. The second accepted file type is a text file, which is for uploading the W-2 and the 1099 information. So the W-2 text files do follow the EFW2 layout required by Social Security Administration, but there are certain modifications specific to Ohio, and they are outlined in our specifications guideline. The 1099-Rs are only available for upload in the text file format. And it is only the 1099-R information. We do not accept 1099 NEC or 1099 miscellaneous forms electronically. If you issue either of these forms and they have Ohio withholding tax reported, you must send copies with a completed paper IT3 to the address in the instructions for the IT3. Now, even though the W-2 and 1099-R information are both acceptable in the text file format, you cannot combine these into one text file. They must be submitted separately. A few things to remember about filing your W-2s. The Ohio Department of Taxation cannot accept PDF files or files that are converted to text or CSV from PDF files. These do not follow the correct format for uploading and processing to our system, and they will be rejected. If you have employees that reside in a taxing school district, when you issue your W-2s to your employees, be sure to include the 4-digit school district number and name in box 20 of their W-2. If the school district number and name don't all fit, at least include the 4-digit school district code. This is vital for your employees to receive proper credit when filing their personal income tax school district returns. If you submit your W-2 information through a text file, the school district information is found in positions 308 to 337 of the RS record. If you submit your W-2 information using our template, you'll enter the school district information in the school district totals and school district number columns of the spreadsheet. The IRS does allow you to redact a portion of the Social Security number on the W-2s issued to your employees, However, when submitting the W-2 or 1099-R information, whether it's the text or CSV file types, the full Social Security number is required. Now I'll talk a little bit more about the simplified W-2 upload format. This format option is an additional option to submitting your W-2 information to the through the Ohio Business Gateway's W-2 1099 upload feature. Again, this does require manual entry of the information to our template and then can be saved as the CSV file type. Each spreadsheet allows you to input W-2 information of up to 500 employees. However, you can only have one spreadsheet per employer FANE. If you are someone who owns multiple businesses with multiple FANEs, you will need to complete one spreadsheet for each federal ID number for each company. The spreadsheet is available for download at tax.ohio.gov/W2upload. On your screen here is a picture of the actual spreadsheet itself. So you have the option to manually input the information into the gray cells provided on the spreadsheet. You can also click the Easy Entry button to the right of the blue section, and a pop-up box will appear where you can enter the information there, and then it'll automatically put it into the spreadsheet itself. Once you get all of your information completed on the spreadsheet, you'll click the Save as CSV File button to the right of the blue section again, and it will automatically save the file in the proper format for uploading using our W-2 1099 upload feature on Gateway. If you are one of those owners that have multiple businesses, as I stated previously, you have to complete one spreadsheet per federal ID number. So you complete your first one, you save it as a CSV file, you can come back here and click the Clear Form button to the right of the orange section, and it will completely clear out the form and you can begin with your next business information. Here we have our simplified W-2 method information on our website, tax.ohio.gov/W2upload. Here you'll find the spreadsheet templates available for download and tutorials, step-by-step instructions, and frequently asked questions specific to the simplified W-2 method. If you happen to need to submit prior year information, we do still have the prior year spreadsheet templates available in the Specification Archives link under the Resources section. If you noticed, there were two links for downloading the simplified W-2 method spreadsheet. The spreadsheet and then the spreadsheet without macros. So macros are what allow the spreadsheet to run things in the background and do things for you, such as that easy entry pop-up box and automatically changing the file type to CSV to be accepted for upload. So users that have Microsoft Excel software installed can use the macros. They can use that easy entry pop-up box. You can automatically change it to the correct file type. That is the first link. The second link is the spreadsheet without macros. So if you do not have a paid version of Microsoft Excel, or if you get a security warning that you're not comfortable with, you can select to download the spreadsheet without macros. However, using it without macros, you will not be able to use the easy entry pop-up box. So you have to insert all the information into the cells individually. And then when saving the file, you must save it manually. You must manually change the file type to CSV in order for it to be accepted. We'll move on now to corrected W-2s. So currently, W-2Cs cannot be uploaded through the Ohio Business Gateway's W-2 upload feature. A copy of W-2Cs with an amended IT3, updating the withholding amounts, if applicable, should be mailed to the address listed in the instructions for the IT3. Now, the Ohio Department of Taxation requires that you submit W-2Cs excuse me, that have any correction of the Ohio withholding amount, any correction to the school district withholding amount, or any correction of the reported four-digit school district number that was reported on the original W-2. You're also required to send us any correction of the employee's Social Security number. Now, W-2Cs that include an employee's name change or address change due to any factor, marriage, divorce, whatever, those are not required to be submitted to the Department of Taxation. You should just keep those in your records. Now we'll have some general tips and reminders. First, please always verify that your Ohio withholding account number and federal ID number that you are using is correct. This is vital to ensure your payments are posted to your account properly and your employees receive proper credit when filing their personal income tax return. Secondly, as Loretta stated earlier, pursuant to our Ohio Revised Code, employers are required to withhold and remit school district income tax for any employee who resides in a taxing school district. Again, not a courtesy, it is a requirement of the employer. And lastly, please do not file paper returns with the department. We will only accept filings that have been made through the Ohio Business Gateway or the Ohio Treasurer of State. Now I'll go over some resources where you can find all of the information contained in today's presentation. The first link is tax.ohio.gov/employer. This will take you directly to our employer withholding page, which offers those withholding tables and employer withholding and school district FAQs. Now, our frequently asked questions are categorized and include a section specifically for reciprocity. The second link is tax.ohio.gov/W2 upload. This will take you directly to our W2 1099 information page, which has that simplified W2 method spreadsheet template, all of the upload specifications and instructions, and frequently asked questions specific for W2 and 1099 submissions. We always encourage everyone to sign up for our tax alerts. So our tax alert link is located at the bottom of our website, tax.ohio.gov, in the quick access section. You'll simply provide your email address, check the boxes for the areas you want to receive alerts for, and click submit. If you ever want to change your preferences, the process is very similar. You log back in with your email address, uncheck boxes you no longer need, and check other boxes that you now wish to receive. We want to thank you for participating in the Employment Tax Division's presentation. On your slide now, you'll see our contact information. Our direct phone number is 888-405-4039. And we do have multiple email addresses where we can be reached. Refund issues, as Loretta stated earlier, EWT@tax.ohio.gov. And then the W2 1099-R upload, if you have any questions regarding that, you can email us at incomestatementsEWT@tax.ohio.gov. And then if you happen to have any cross-employer transfers, like you own those separate businesses and you accidentally filed on one and you meant to file it on the other, you can send those requests to the payroll provider's EWT@tax.ohio.gov. And then if you happen to bulk file and you have any bulk file issues, you can send bulk file issue questions to bulk file EWT@tax.ohio.gov. This concludes the Employment Tax Division's presentation, and I'll now turn it back over to Teresa.
Thanks, Misty. Great presentation from Mary, Loretta, and Misty about our commercial activity tax and our employment tax. And at this point, we are going to start our second break. We will be returning at 10:55. And after break, we will have how to respond to department notices. So please hang on the line. We are going to turn off our cameras and our audio, and we will be back at 10:55.